Uh, Artist talks are difficult. I am supposed to be very eloquent and say very deep, meaningful things about my work, and you're all supposed to go, ah, now I get it. And it usually never comes out that way with me. I'm a bumbling, fumbling public speaker. So I want to talk about this talk as a performance piece, okay? And the title of my talk is called Talking to You with Ink on My Hands. I'm a printmaker. This is my talk. And for many of you, this is the first time you've ever seen me in a suit. The suit is actually for Judy Olinsky. She has always told me it'd be so nice if you wear a suit, it'd be so nice if you wear a suit. I'm like, Judy, I'm a printmaker. I have ink on my hands. It just doesn't work. I always ruin suits. And she laughs about it, but tonight she was very, very complimentary to me about wearing a suit. So Judy, the suit's for you. Okay. My wife and I moved here about 8 years ago. And I left Interlochen Center for the Arts, came here, and kind of just said, you know what, I'm going to stop making art. I'm just going to start making. And fell into this beautiful community and really started to do everything that I wanted to do. And I was not going to hold back to my past. This was a brand new start for me. So I just really started making work that felt right to me. So what you're seeing here is a variety of work that I'm making in materials that may not be so common, okay? Especially the first thing that I did here were the silicone drawings. And if you look over here, I worked construction for a large part of my life and fell in love with the materials. And this is actually silicone caulking that you use to seal windows with when it's cold. Okay, so we all know this material. So I'm starting to kind of meld this process of working. I love drawing, I love these things, I love this material that I'm working with, and I'm starting to use this industrial material with imagery now about kind of industrial products. Okay, so there's some deep philosophical ideas about why I'm using the cigarettes. I was a smoker for a long time, still love smoking, still quitting. And I'm at Bloomsburg University, and I'm watching young students go through that cigarette ritual, which is just so much fun to kind of watch from afar and kind of reminisce about those times. So the Marlboro pack, as we're going through the gallery, you'll see it's starting to fall and decay. And this is one of the things that I love about the silicone drawings that I'm doing. I'm now drawing, and I'm using gravity as part of my process of drawing. So you're seeing these things kind of dripping and falling, and it's just the act of gravity that's making them happen. These were full, complete cigarette packs when I drew them initially, and then as I'm installing them, I'm arranging them or drawing them again as I install them on. These are small studies. Many of you know that the works are usually around 26 feet long, 9 feet tall. These are becoming more of the objects that I'm interested in doing. Okay. The next process that I kind of fell into, started working with at the Pajama Factory, are these prints. Again, what I'm doing now is I'm actually printing on joint compound. This is, again, another building material. And the idea was I was going to go for a faux fresco look. Like these are little chunks of wall for you to look at. And in my process of printing, I'm starting to layer imagery. Okay, and kind of looking at these ancient walls and all the things that are kind of over top, over top, over top as we come to the future, which is the top layer. What's happening, what I like about these most of all, is there's a play between masculine and feminine imagery. This lace is kind of getting woven into these compositions, and the pack of the Marlboro being decaying, falling apart, and then imagery kind of peeking through this kind of transparency. As a graduate student, I was learning how to print this basically as an implied texture. I was faking it. When you actually come up to this, these are slight little bas-relief, actual texture pieces. There's a nice, real physicality to the work that is really starting to speak to me. Okay? And again, the materialities of the silicone are speaking to me. My latest and greatest work that I'm doing is the Mylar chine collé. And again, I'm trained in printmaking, And so I'm dealing with ink a lot. And I was working with this artist, Steve Hirsch, at the Pajama Factory. And Steve and I both went to the University of Pennsylvania and started working on a printing technique that this mentor of ours, Satoshi, showed us. And this is using Shinkolei printing technique. The Mylar, traditionally Shinkolei is done with Japanese rice paper. And the Mylar that I'm using now is purchased at the party store, okay? And so I'm using this material that starts to go into various colors. When you approach these, they shift in values and colors a lot, okay? And I like that because the interpretation of the work changes depending upon the colors that you're seeing it. The cut paper pieces, for me, are probably the newest work that I'm interested in, and very reflective of the iridescent Mylar prints that I'm doing. The cut paper is actually 2 layers of paper that I'm using, where the color on the back is one color, and the color on the top is the white. And what happens is the light reflects through.
Did I miss something with that?
I'm sorry?
Did I miss something? What happened?
What?
Watch your hands.
Dude, you got black all over your head.
Your hands all over your head. I walked around the room and I looked at
Don't wear a suit. Don't touch the suit. Don't touch the suit. Don't touch the suit.
The iridescent work started to talk about the way light was hitting the colors that were coming from it. And this work here starts to, oh, thank you. A friend of mine, Joe Geis, was a young kid. I knew him when he was probably about 11 years old. Loved hunting more than anything. And watched him go from this young kid to a father of 2, and was there at the cabin, the hunting cabin, when he brought home this buck. Okay? And the thing about Joe that I love was that he had this passion for life that was just absolutely amazing. Shortly after he got this buck, he tragically died in a car accident. And the buck hangs in the cabin. And we look at it in a lot of different ways. At one time it was a trophy, and now it's kind of becoming kind of a bit of a shrine. And if you notice in the work, this buck keeps showing up. There's a piece behind the corner, which is gouache on joint compound. And when I started this new cut paper process, I went back to an image that I'm very comfortable with, doing Joe's buck, and wanted to see what I could do with this iridescent color here, or not the iridescent, but the orange, the hunter's orange, behind the white paper on this. And it starts to glow in kind of a spiritual way for me, okay? And I'm really, really pleased with the way this kind of work is happening. The cigarettes refer to my history of smoking, and so we have this white paper here with the fresh pink behind it, and these are our lungs when they're young, and they're they're fresh and we're starting to smoke, as opposed to when we're getting closer to quitting and our lungs are all black, and it still slightly reflects the pink, but this kind of starts to epitomize my kind of relationship with smoking. Like, eventually I had to quit. So one of the things that's starting to happen in my work at this stage in my career, or my life, is that I'm starting to dive into the vocabulary of the imagery around me and kind of diving into it in a very, very personal way. And the materials that I'm using, I'm really taking into very serious consideration about what does this material speak of as I'm using it. The black buck is actually cut out of tar paper, mounted onto black foam core. And that's one of the things that I'm kind of interested in, again, is these materials that I'm using all the time. The black rabbit, which has the red behind it, really was the first beginnings of this whole cut paper investigation. Okay, so I'm working with these materials, and you have to realize, like, I go through this all the time. I'm wondering if I'm still an artist, if I can still draw. So I go into these little tiny investigations to look at drawing, to reassure to myself, yes, okay, I can still draw. I know what I'm doing, okay?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So that's pretty much the talk, except for one piece here at the front. My talk was entitled, Talking to You with Ink on My Hands, okay? So I'm a printmaker, it's my hands. This is why I don't wear suits, okay? The piece that I'm going to do for you tonight is based off of Jasper John's Skin with O'Hare poem, okay? It's one of the prints that really affected me when I was young, as a young printmaker, and felt that it really kind of epitomized what printmaking is possible of doing. So if you bear with me, yeah, this is great. Oh, and Bill Hanna is over here. He's my father-in-law. Oh, he's over there. And this is his suit. Thank you very much for coming tonight.